What is up, fellow game developers? My name's Tyler Potts and welcome back to Muddy Wolf Studios. In this video we're going to be creating this simple shooting, how to shoot in 2D essentially. Shoot some bullets out. If they collide with stuff they break and the gun follows around, it rotates following the mouse. You click to shoot and the bullets despawn after 5 seconds. Which I think is pretty cool. So we've got some cool little mechanics in it. It's a very simple tutorial. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, I've opened up Unity Hub version 2.1.3 and we're going to create a new project. We're going to select 2D and we're going to name this for now Shooter Tutorial. And I'm just going to click create. I'm using Unity 2019.1.2, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or it's something similar. You can find out once this has loaded. So I'm using actually Unity version 2019.2.11 F1. So that's what we're using right now. So just quickly, I'm going to drag in some sprites. So I'm going to create a new folder in my assets. I'm going to create a few new files. One's going to be called sprites, so we can organize our sprites. One is going to be called prefabs, because we're going to have a prefab, but I like to organize things anyway. And I think that's it for now. Oh, and we're also going to have scripts. So if I go up here, folder, and type scripts, we will also have some scripts which we write in there. We're going to go to main camera quickly and change the background color to more of a... Oh, it's appeared on the wrong screen. Why? Why have you forsaken me? And let's bring it over here. Cool, so we're going to go for this like bluey grey background. Cool, that's fine. I just hate the default blue. It really annoys me. Why did they choose that colour? Well, I don't understand. Anyway, let's drag in some sprites. I'm just going to drag 2 sprites in here, a gun and some shapes, because we're just going to use basic shapes. We're going to change we're just going to change this to no compression. This can just be point, and also we're going to set this to 256, which is the size of each individual shape. Go change single to multiple, click apply, and I'm going to click sprite editor, but it's going to tell me no sprite editor window registered. Please download a 2D sprite package manager. I don't know why it does this. It's only recently started doing this since I updated, but to fix that, you go up to window, you go to package manager, and it's come onto the wrong screen. I'm going to drag this over. It's just going to load the packages. As you can see down here, it says loading packages, and bang, we just need to click 2D sprite and click install, and that will install it for us. Once it's installed, we'll be able to then use the 2D sprite editor to separate our sprites from single sprites to multiple sprites. Okay, now that's installed, you'll see down here it says remove instead of install, so we can close that. If we go back to our shapes and click sprite editor, it's gone on the other screen. That's really annoying. I really need to set to one screen. But we'll click up here and we can click slice, automatically slice. Now, if we click into each shape, you'll see there is a point for each individual shape and it's all set. So we're going to click apply, close, and if we drop this down, you'll see we've got all our shapes there. We also have a gun. I'm going to set this to 64. 64 or 32? 64 because we want it to be smaller than what it is. Go set it to point because it's actually pixel art. I know it doesn't look like pixel art because it's beautiful, but it's pixel art, trust me. I'm going to click apply, and there we go. I made this sprite. I don't know how I can show you it without dropping it into the scene. Oh, there you go. Zoom in really close. Oh, here we go. See, this is a beautiful piece of pixel art. I built it in, I can't remember, Piskel, which is, you could just type in Piskel on Google and it will come up the first thing. It's a pixel art editor, and that is what I made. So let's just delete that because we actually want to drag in. I'm going to choose a hexagon. I'm going to drop this into the scene. I'm going to set the X to 0 and the Y to -4 or -3. That'll do. And we'll also want a square, so I'm going to drag this square in down here. Go set the X to 0 and the Y to -5. I'm also going to set the X scale to 18 because I want it to span the whole area. And I'm going to add a box collide 2D so we can actually stand on this platform, because this basically is going to be the platform we stand on. Now, if we go over to our shape 3, I'm going to rename this to player, and I'm going to rename the other one to ground. On player, we're going to also add in, I'm just going to say a polygon collider, because that'll just map the shape. As you can see, it's mapped around, so that's good enough. And let's also give our character a slight colour. So before I didn't do that, let's give him like a pinky colour. That's great, that's perfect. I don't know if I like it, but we'll stick with it. Also, the platform, we'll give a colour of a darker grey. So it actually looks like a platform. There we go. Now on our player, we want to add a rigid body 2D so we can fall down. Again, this doesn't actually have anything to do with the shooting in this, the rigid body on our character, but I like to have it on there anyway so we can, because if you make a 2D platformer shooter thing, you're gonna need it basically. So let's click play. I know this could do nothing but fall down, but let's just see if he falls. And oh, he fell right through the ground. He fell through the ground. Did I put a polygon collider on the ground? Box. Oh, I accidentally ticked its trigger. Don't tick its trigger, because if you do that, he'll fall straight through it. Bloop. There you go. Nice. Looks great. Game looks great. 10 out of 10 so far for looks. Let's now move on to the actual script. Oh no, actually we want to drop the gun in on top of our character here. Let's drag it as a child of player. Let's move the X to 0.5. Oh, actually, I just want to quickly, on this gun, I want to change this rotate point. See this here? If we rotate on the C-axis, you'll see it turns from the center. We don't want that. We want it to turn from this handle here. So let's go to the gun. Let's click sprite editor and see this little blue dot. We just want to drag it just about here. And this will allow it to rotate from this point instead. Click apply, close. And now if we go in here and we say, let's say 45 degrees, you'll see it turns from this point. So let's make that 0 again. On the Y, we're going to say 0 because we want it center with our thing, and we're going to say 0.5. We're also going to do the ordering layer to 1 so it's in front of our player. You can give this a actual sorting layer if you wanted to, but in this situation, we don't need to. So we've got our player and we have our gun. Now, we need to actually have a point of fire, so where we want the bullets to spawn. So I'm going to create an empty game object, and I'm going to name this to fire point. And you see this little blank circle here? We're just going to move this over there. We're going to say about 0.4. Y is going to be probably minus 0.05. Oh no, just plus 0.05. About right. Give that 0.5. 0.45. There you go. That's about right. It'll look slightly off, but that's fine with us. So that's where we're going to fire our bullets from. And click save. So we have 3 little elements there. We have the player, we have a gun, and we have a firing point. So now the reason we've nested this is so if we click on player and we rotate, let's say 180 on our y-axis, we turn around. So we can control it all from the player. Let's now create a new element. So we're going to get a circle for this. We could do a triangle, but we'll have to do a circle. Let's drop this in. Let's set this to, or let's leave it where it is for now. Let's zoom in and let's give it a 0.2 and 0.2. I know this is bigger than the gun, which is going to look really weird, but I'm going to leave it at that for now just because it's easier to see when we shoot it. I'm going to give this like a mid-tone ready pinky color. Right there, just so it's easier to see when we fire it. There we go. Looking great. 10 out of 10. Cool. So on the bullet, we just want to give it a circle collider. We want to give it a rigid body 2D. But because we're not going to be using gravity, we're actually going to turn it off. We could set it to be really, really low. So when you shot the bullet, it had the sort of drop-off effect. But for now, I don't need to do that. I don't feel like doing that, so I'm just going to turn it off so it just shoots straight. Always. And they are the only components we need on there, but we also need a bullet script. So let's create a bullet script. Click create and add. And that is going to create us a new script called bullet. I'm going to drag this into scripts. And this script's actually really simple. So we're going to go into scripts, bullet, and it's opened up on the wrong screen. Who would have guessed? Let's zoom in a little. And let's clear what we start with. Nice. So we don't need any of these. We don't need systems collection. We just need the Unity engine namespace. I'm going to bring it down to the next line. And we only need 2 variables for this. Well, actually, we only need 1 in our case, but we could add a second just in case we want to use it in the future. So we're going to add public, that's not right. We're going to say public float, so something we can have a decimal place. We're going to say bullet speed, which is equal to 10F to start with. And then we're going to have bullet damage, which is going to also be 10F. Obviously, we actually don't use bullet damage, but I just wanted to have it in there too, so you know that it's there. We'd obviously use that once we hit an opponent to apply a bullet damage to the, or the damage the bullet will do to the character, the person, the enemy. We also want a rigid body 2D, and we're just going to call that RB. We're now going to call a start method. Obviously, this is called when the element is started in the scene or when it launches. We'll say RB is equal to get component rigid body 2D. Once we've got that, we're going to also create a new vector2 called force. We're going to set the force equal to transform.right, so it's going to find out our current local position and it's going to apply a force which is equal, or vector3, which is equal to the right position. So when we place our 2D in there, the right position will be the positive in the X, but locally 2D rotation of the current game object. I hope that makes sense, because it definitely does it to me in my head. But now we're going to apply a force, which we're going to say transform.right times bullet speed. So we're going to set our force equal to transform.right times bullet speed, and straight away we're going to say rb.add force, and we're going to say force mode 2D dot impulse, because we don't want it to be we basically just want to fire it straight out like an impulse, and that's going to apply a force to our character straight away. And we can see what happens here if we go back. I'm actually going to dock the game maximize play, so I'm going to dock this to the right so we can actually see in the editor where the bullet goes. So if we highlight the, oh, we've called it shape, I'm going to rename it to bullet, and if we click play, you'll see the bullet shoot straight off, and there it goes. Off it goes into the distance forever. I don't know if this loses velocity. Nope. Yep, so that's gone. So cool. Now that is all we need for our bullet, except from we need to have an on collision enter 2D. And all we're going to say is when we collide with anything, we're just going to destroy our current game object. So we're going to destroy the bullet, just so once it hits, it disappears. We could instantiate a particle effect, but again, this is just how you shoot a bullet and not how you actually how you would actually handle the bullet in game. So now we've got that bullet, we actually just want to drag it into our project assets under the prefabs folder, and now we have this reusable prefab we can use to instantiate in the game. So we can delete it from our scene because we have it over here, and under player now we want to basically create our shooting script. So I'm going to create a script called shooter, and I'm going to create an ad. And I'm going to drag this into our scripts, if it lets me. There we go, and I'm going to double click to open it. Now let's delete the starting code, and also that move that bracket up, and delete those two. Cool, so we're back here. So we need 3 different variables here. So we need a public game object called bullet prefab. So we're gonna drop in the prefab we just created for the bullet. We need a public transform of gun. We need to know the position of our gun. Actually, I don't think we do in this case. We actually just need our transform of our fire point. Sorry, that's it. So our fire point, which we created. And then we need an update function. Why is that rivet? We need an update function, which is just going to say if input.get button down fire 1, which is in the which you can set up in the input manager, and we're going to call shoot or just shoot. So that is going to call a function which is going to say private void shoot, and all we're going to say in here is debug.log shoot. Now if I save and we go back to the game and we go to our player, you'll see we need two things. We need a bullet prefab, so we can grab our prefab and drop it in there. And we need a firing point. So inside of our gun, we have the firing point. Oh, I shouldn't have clicked on that. Let's click on player. Let's drag firing point. And let's drop it straight in the scene. There you go. So we've got our firing point transform and our bullet prefab. Nice. So if we click play and I click on the right mouse, you'll see in the bottom left down here, it says shoot, which in our console basically just says shoot. So if I click again, and multiple times, if I click back on this, you'll see it says I shot 5 times. Now, I'm clicking the right mouse button, but you can change this at any point by going into project settings, under access in the input, and you can see we've got fire 1 here. So the name fire 1 is what we use to reference it, and we can see here we can either press left control on my keyboard, or as an alternative positive button, we can press mouse 0. So if I close that, I'm going to keep it as the right mouse or left mouse key. And that's all we need. So now you might notice that when we put our mouse over here, the gun doesn't flip around, so it's on the other side. So you're not facing the other way because we're going to be using the mouse to aim. So let's actually add that functionality into the shooter script. So let's stop the game, go to our script here. Actually, let's spawn the bullet first. So let's say game object, say bullet is equal to instantiate, and we're going to pass through the bullet prefab, so the prefab we dropped in. We're then going to get the firing point dot transform dot position, and we're going to pass that in. So that's where we want it to spawn, and we also want it to be at the rotation of the firing, the actual point's rotation. Now, once we've spawned it, we want to say destroy, and we're going to say bullet. We're going to destroy it, but we're going to give a second parameter, which is how long we want to wait until it gets destroyed, and we're going to say 5F, which stands for 5 seconds. So we're going to destroy the bullet after 5 seconds of it being in spawn. So if we go back in and we click play, and I click, you'll see we shoot bullets, and after 5 seconds they will destroy themselves. As you can see, they start destroying themselves. There we go. So if we just spam, we can shoot loads of bullets as quick as we want, because we can just tap, 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 tap. So that is how we can spawn the bullet. That's good. But now we want to kind of rotate the gun, or at least flip when we aim the other way. So in the update function, we want to say, so we need to get a reference to our mouse position. So we want to say vector 3 mouse pos is equal to camera dot main. Now we're going to use dot screen to world points, because when you just get your mouse position, it gets you the pixels. We want it to get the world points. And we're going to say input dot mouse position, and that is how we get the mouse position as a vector 3 in the world. We're then going to say if mouse position dot x, so the x-axis of the mouse position, is less than transform dot position dot x, our current player's position.x. So if we've put the mouse over the other side of him, we then want to say transform dot I don't know how to pronounce it, angles. We're going to say new vector 3. We're going to say transform dot rotation dot x. We also want to say 180F, which stands for basically flipping the character completely round. And then we're going to say transform.rotation.z. The reason we're using, we're actually rotating the transform instead of just flipping the sprite is because if we rotate the actual transform, it's going to rotate the actual game objects, meaning the whole gun and the firing point are all going to be facing the opposite way instead of only the sprites being the opposite way. We also want to say else, and we're going to get the transform, and we're going to set this to 0f. There's definitely a better way we can do this. We can say here a float called rotation y rotate y is equal to 0f, and we can say down here, sorry, just move the code around. We can say in here rotate y is equal to 180f if that is true, and then here we can just say rotate y, and now that fixes that issue. Nice. So if we go back to our game now and we click play, you'll see if I put my mouse over the other side, we completely flip round to the opposite way, and we can shoot back that way, shoot. I've also just noticed that this is at 180,000. I assume that's because it's doing something wrong. Camera main.screen to world point, input.mouse position, that's correct. We're also going to say if mouse position.x is less than, no, that's right. I don't know why it's showing as 180,000. Oh, we're already at 180,000. We need to be at 0. I don't get why it didn't flip though. There you go. That works a lot better. I'm not sure why it stayed at 180,000. There we go. So that now flips our character around. But the issue is our gun isn't rotating to face our current mouse position. So we need to go in here. We need to click on our gun and we need to add a gun script. So let's create a new script again. Once we've created it, let's drag it into our scripts folder. Let's double click it to open it. Let's do the default resets. Let's also remove these. There we go. And let's start off by creating literally an update function. We don't need anything else. And in the update function, we need a vector3 called mouse position like we did in the last one, but this time we're just going to get the input.mouse position because we don't want to convert it to the world space. We're going to set the mouse position.set to nothing for now. We're going to set vector3 object, or how do we say it? So how do we say gun position? Gun pass is equal to camera dot main. So this gets our main camera. So the camera in the scene tagged with main camera. That's how that gets that. Dot world to screen point. So before we did screen to world point. This time we're doing it the opposite way. So it's going to get our object in pixels because we don't need to actually get it in the world scene. We just need to get it in the pixel scene because we're not moving around in the world. Our mouse is always going to be in the same position. So here we're going to say transform dot position, or the same world area. And then we're going to say mouse pass dot x is equal to mouse pass dot x minus gun pass dot x, and we're going to do the same for y. So it's going to say y, y, and y. This is just going to make sure it gives us basically a value from 0. So if our player is at, let's say, 500 pixels and our mouse is at 500 pixels, when we minus away, it gives us back to 0, so it's just an easy, it cleans it out for us. So it gives us a better rotation. So we're now going to say, we need an angle now because we want to rotate the actual gun. So we're going to say math eth atan2. We're going to say mouse pos.y and mouse pos.x times math. So this here gives us the value as radians, but we want to times it, we want to turn it into degrees. So we're going to say rad 2 degrees, which if you read there, it gives us the conversion there. It's 57. So we're timesing this by 57.29578. And then we can say if camera.main. So actually we want to go back to our shooter and we want to grab this code here, but actually we just want that. So back in our gun we can say if screen to world point mouse pos dot x. Actually we do want to get just input mouse, we don't want to get, because we've modified this, so we just want to say input.mousePosition.x is greater than transform.position.x. We then want to say transform of the current dot rotation is equal to a quaternion dot Euler. I can't pronounce that. We say new. So this just allows us to rotate it to a new vector 3, which we're going to give it 180F because we want, because if obviously if our mouse is let over the other side of the character, we're going to be facing the opposite way. So we need to give it 180F, 0F, and minus angle, because else it would be, if we went up, the gun would point down. Just for this one, then we actually want to do the same. We want to drag this out, and we want to put it over here. We just want to set it equal to angle and 0F. Oh, that's OF. So we're setting it to this, but if we're facing the other way, we're going to reset it to this, which hopefully shouldn't give any bugs. Actually, I might pull it in an else. It seems cleaner if I pull it in an else. It means there could be no bugs. There we go. And now if we go back to our game and we click play, so we did quite a lot there. I'll explain it in a second. As you can see, as we aim up and I shoot, the bullet shoots in the direction it should. And if we face the other way, it also shoots in the right way. And if we hit the floor, you'll see the bullet just disappears instantly. We can shoot all around. So this would be pretty good if you're, I mean, you've got a blind spot kind of on top of your head. You could just about get it. Yeah, you can get it if you really, really wanted to. So let's check that. Let's save the scene and let's go back to the script. So this was quite a confusing one, but basically what we did here is we got the mouse position in world points or in screen points at pixels. We then got the gun position and converted it to pixels position, and then we minus the we minus the gun position away from the mouse position X and Y. We then got the angle, so the angle between the mouse position and the current transform of this gun, and we applied some radius to it and checked out basically what the radius was. So this worked out the angle we needed to face or rotate our gun to, and then we checked if our mouse was over the other side, so if we were facing the opposite way. If we was facing the opposite way, we added 180F to the, so we flipped it on its x-axis to stop it from being, the gun from being upside down. And we also minus the angle, so when we moved our mouse down, the gun wouldn't look up, and if we moved our mouse up, the gun wouldn't look down. So if I take away this minus here, you'll see what happens. So if I just click play, so it works fine on this angle, but if we turn around, you see I aim down, it goes up. If I aim up, it goes down. So that's why we have to minus it. And same if I remove the, if I remove the 180, hit save, and we click play. So Looks fine. Go the other way, you see the gun is upside down and again does the reverse of what it should. So let's undo that again. It's, oh, what did I do? Hit save, and we have now a fully working shooting gun. Now you can add movement and jumping around your character. This won't affect the gun gameplay. The gun gameplay doesn't really depend on you jumping around. Unless you jump into your own bullets, which would be pretty cool. I'd love to see that. Okay guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, then don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, then hit that subscribe button. And if you have any comments or feedback, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this video. Keep muddy as always, and peace out.